Legend says a goat herder in Ethiopia noticed his goats dancing after eating red berries from a certain bush. He tried them himself. He did not sleep that night. Tonight we are going to talk about coffee, quietly and slowly. Find a cool, dark place and listen in. There is nowhere else you need to be. Fact 1. The goat herder's name, according to legend, was Kaldi. The story is likely more folklore than fact, but it remains the most widely told origin tale of coffee, passed down for centuries in Ethiopian tradition. Fact 2. Coffee was first brewed as a drink in Yemen, not Ethiopia. Sufi monasteries in the 15th century used it to stay awake during long nights of prayer, roasting and boiling the beans in a method not far from how coffee is still prepared today. Fact 3. Coffee was banned in Mecca in 1511. Religious authorities feared it stimulated radical thinking and encouraged gatherings where people might criticize the government. The ban did not last, and coffee houses eventually became common throughout the region. Fact 4. Coffee was banned again in Italy in the 16th century, this time by the Church, which considered it a suspicious Muslim drink. Pope Clement VIII reportedly tasted it himself before deciding to bless it instead, effectively legalizing coffee across Catholic Europe. Fact 5. England briefly banned coffee houses in 1675. King Charles II worried they had become breeding grounds for political dissent, where men gathered to discuss and criticize the monarchy. The ban lasted only 11 days before public backlash forced it to be lifted. Fact 6. Coffee houses in 17th century London were sometimes called penny universities. For the price of a single cup, anyone could sit for hours, read newspapers, and take part in intellectual discussions with strangers, a level of access to information and debate that was unusual for the era. Fact 7. Lloyd's of London, now one of the largest insurance markets in the world, began as a coffee house. Edward Lloyd's shop became a meeting place for ship owners and merchants to discuss and arrange marine insurance deals, eventually evolving into the institution that exists today. Fact 8. The word coffee likely comes from the Arabic word kahwa, which originally referred to a type of wine. The word traveled through Turkish as kahve, before entering European languages as some variation of coffee or café. Fact 9. Brazil is the largest coffee producer in the world, responsible for roughly a third of global supply. Coffee was introduced there in the 18th century, and the country has remained the dominant producer for well over 100 years. Fact 10. There are two main species of coffee grown commercially, Arabica and Robusta. Arabica is considered smoother and more aromatic, while Robusta contains more caffeine and has a stronger, harsher taste. Most specialty coffee is Arabica. Fact 11. A single coffee tree produces enough cherries in a year to make roughly 1 pound of roasted coffee. Each cherry contains 2 beans, and it takes several years for a newly planted tree to produce its first harvest. Fact 12. Coffee is one of the most heavily traded commodities in the world, behind only oil in terms of total global trade value for many decades. Millions of people across dozens of countries depend on coffee farming for their livelihood. Fact 13. Instant coffee was invented in the early 20th century, though early attempts date back further. It became widely popular during the Second World War, when soldiers were supplied with instant coffee rations that required no equipment to prepare in the field. Fact 14. Decaffeination was developed almost by accident. A German coffee merchant named Ludwig Roselius discovered a process to remove caffeine after a shipment of coffee beans was damaged by seawater during transport, altering their chemical composition. Fact 15. The world's most expensive coffee is called Kopi Luwak. It is made from coffee cherries that have been eaten and partially digested by a civet, a small mammal native to Southeast Asia. The digestive process alters the beans in a way some claim improves flavor. Fact 16. Espresso was developed in Italy in the late 19th and early 20th centuries as a way to brew coffee more quickly for busy workers. The word espresso comes from the Italian for pressed out, referring to the pressurized brewing method. Fact 17. Cappuccino gets its name from Capuchin friars, whose brown robes reportedly resembled the color of the drink once milk was added to espresso. The name has stuck for centuries, long outlasting most people's awareness of its origin. Fact 18. Coffee was once used as currency in parts of Ethiopia and Yemen, traded and bartered much like other valuable goods, before formal currency systems became widespread in those regions. Fact 19. The Boston Tea Party indirectly boosted American coffee consumption. As tea became associated with British taxation and control, coffee became a patriotic alternative, and its popularity in America grew significantly in the years that followed. Fact 20. Voltaire, the French philosopher, was said to drink an extraordinary number of cups of coffee each day, sometimes reported as high as 40, though historians consider this figure likely exaggerated by his contemporaries. Fact 21. Coffee contains over 1,000 distinct chemical compounds, contributing to its complex aroma and flavor. Scientists still do not fully understand every compound's individual contribution to the overall taste of a brewed cup. Fact 22. The Frappuccino, a drink now associated globally with modern coffee culture, was actually invented by a small coffee shop chain in Boston, before the recipe and name were later acquired by a much larger company. Fact 23. Finland consumes more coffee per capita than any other country in the world. The average Finnish adult drinks several cups daily, a habit closely tied to the country's cold climate and long dark winters. Fact 24. Coffee cherries turn a deep red when ripe, similar in color to certain berries, which is part of why some historians believe early stories describe them as unusual fruit, rather than something used to brew a drink. Fact 25. The world drinks over 2 billion cups of coffee every single day. It has survived religious bans, royal decrees, and centuries of political suspicion, and yet it remains one of the most consumed beverages on the planet, quietly present in nearly every waking morning, all over the world. From a dancing goat in Ethiopia to 2 billion cups a day, coffee has traveled further than almost anything else we drink. And tonight, somewhere in the world, someone is brewing their first cup, while you are settling into your last thoughts before sleep. Sleep well. In ancient Rome, soldiers were not always paid in coins. They were paid in salt. The word salary comes directly from that practice, from the Latin word salarium, meaning salt money. Tonight we are going to talk about salt, quietly and slowly. Find a cool, dark place and listen in. There is nowhere else you need to be. Fact 1. Salt is one of the only rocks humans eat. It is a mineral, sodium chloride, formed naturally in the earth over millions of years. Every grain of table salt you have ever used was once part of an ancient sea, or buried deep inside a mountain. Fact 2. The human body cannot survive without salt. Sodium regulates fluid balance, nerve signals, and muscle contractions, including the beating of your heart. Too little salt is as dangerous as too much. Fact 3. The word salary comes from the Latin salarium, the allowance given to Roman soldiers to purchase salt. Whether soldiers were literally paid in salt or simply given money to buy it remains debated by historians. The word stayed either way. Fact 4. Salt was once so valuable it was used as currency across multiple ancient civilizations simultaneously, in China, Ethiopia, and West Africa, among others. In some regions it was worth more than gold by weight, because gold could not preserve food. Fact 5. The world's largest salt flat is in Bolivia. The Salar de Uyuni covers over 10,000 square kilometers and contains an estimated 10 billion tons of salt. During the rainy season, it becomes the world's largest natural mirror, reflecting the sky so perfectly that the horizon disappears entirely. Fact 6. Salt has been traded for at least 8,000 years. Some of the earliest known trade routes in human history were salt roads, paths worn into the earth by people carrying salt from mines and coasts to inland settlements that had none. Fact 7. The city of Salzburg in Austria takes its name directly from salt. Salz means salt in German. The city was built around the salt trade in the medieval period, and its wealth came almost entirely from controlling the flow of salt through the region. Fact 8. Salt was used to preserve mummies in ancient Egypt. The substance used was called natron, a naturally occurring salt compound found in dry lake beds. Bodies were packed in natron for up to 70 days to draw out moisture and prevent decay. Fact 9. Gandhi's famous Salt March in 1930 was a direct protest against British colonial salt taxes. The British government held a monopoly on salt production in India, making it illegal for Indians to collect or sell it independently. Gandhi walked 240 miles to the sea to make salt himself. It became one of the defining acts of the independence movement. Fact 10. There is more salt dissolved in the world's oceans than could ever be practically harvested. If all the salt in the sea were spread evenly across the Earth's land surface, it would form a layer approximately 166 meters deep. Fact 11. The Dead Sea is so dense with salt that objects float on its surface without effort. Its salt concentration is roughly 10 times higher than a typical ocean. Almost nothing lives in it, which is precisely where its name comes from. Fact 12. Salt mines are among the oldest continuously operated human structures on Earth. The Hallstatt salt mine in Austria has been in use for over 7,000 years, making it one of the oldest known mines of any kind still functioning today. Fact 13. During the American Civil War, the Confederacy struggled severely with salt shortages. Salt was essential for preserving meat to feed armies in the field. The Union deliberately targeted Confederate salt works as a military strategy, understanding that destroying the salt supply was as damaging as destroying weapons. Fact 14. Pouring salt on a wound to prevent infection is not merely a metaphor. Salt draws moisture out of bacteria through osmosis, killing or inhibiting their growth. Before modern antiseptics, salted wounds were genuinely less likely to become fatally infected. Fact 15. The phrase, "worth their salt," dates back to ancient Greece, where salt was sometimes used to purchase slaves. A slave considered hard-working and capable was said to be worth the salt paid for them. The phrase has survived intact for over 2,000 years. Fact 16. Rock salt and sea salt are chemically identical. Both are sodium chloride. The difference is texture, trace minerals, and how they were formed. Rock salt comes from ancient underground deposits. Sea salt is produced by evaporating seawater. The taste difference is largely a matter of texture and mineral content rather than the salt itself. Fact 17. Salt lowers the freezing point of water, which is why it is spread on icy roads in winter. When salt dissolves into ice, it disrupts the formation of ice crystals, forcing the freezing point lower, meaning ice melts even when the temperature is below zero. Fact 18. The Wieliczka salt mine in Poland contains an entire underground cathedral carved entirely from salt. completed in the 13th century and still visited today. It includes chandeliers, altarpieces, and floor tiles, all sculpted from the mine's salt walls by miners over centuries. It was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1978. Fact 19. Salt has been central to food preservation for most of human history. Before refrigeration, salting was one of the only reliable ways to prevent meat, fish, and vegetables from spoiling. Entire diets, trade economies, and seasonal survival strategies were built around it. Fact 20. In Japan, salt is used in purification rituals. Sumo wrestlers throw salt into the ring before a bout to purify the space and ward off evil spirits, a practice rooted in Shinto tradition that has been observed for centuries. Fact 21. Table salt sold in most countries today contains added iodine. Iodine deficiency was once one of the most common nutritional deficiencies in the world, causing thyroid problems and developmental issues. In the 1920s, public health officials began adding iodine to salt as a simple, inexpensive solution. It worked. Iodine deficiency became rare in countries where iodized salt was adopted. Fact 22. Humans have a specific taste receptor dedicated entirely to detecting salt. It is one of only 5 primary tastes, alongside sweet, sour, bitter, and umami. The body prioritizes detecting salt because sodium is so essential to survival that the ability to find it quickly is hardwired into our biology. Fact 23. The French word for salt, sel, gives us the word sauce, the word salad, and the word sausage. All 3 were originally salt-based preparations. A salad was simply vegetables dressed in salted water. A sausage was salted, preserved meat. Language carries the history of food quietly inside it. Fact 24. In medieval Europe, where you sat at a banquet table relative to the salt cellar, determined your social standing. Guests of high rank sat above the salt, closer to the host. Lesser guests sat below it. The salt cellar was not just a condiment container. It was a marker of hierarchy, placed at the center of every formal meal. Fact 25. The average human body contains around 250 grams of salt at any given time. It is distributed through your blood, your cells, and your tissues, regulating almost every biological process that keeps you alive. The same mineral that built trade routes, funded armies, and carved cathedrals underground is moving quietly through you right now, doing its work while you sleep. Salt has been with us since before history had a name for it. It built cities, started wars, preserved the dead, and kept the living going. And somehow, through all of that, it ended up in a shaker on your table. Sleep well. There is something quietly remarkable about cheese. It has been with us for thousands of years, sitting on tables, aging in caves, traveling across continents, and most of us have never stopped to wonder how it got here. Tonight, we are going to wonder. Slowly, no rush. Just 25 small, fascinating things about cheese, and all the time in the world to absorb them. Find somewhere dark and cool, and listen in. Fact 1. Cheese is older than writing. Archaeologists have found evidence of cheese making in Polish pottery, dating back over 7,000 years, long before humans had developed a written alphabet. Fact 2. The discovery of cheese was almost certainly an accident. Early humans stored milk in pouches made from animal stomachs, which contain a natural enzyme called rennet. The milk curdled. Someone tasted it anyway. Cheese was born. Fact 3. There are over 1,800 distinct varieties of cheese in the world. France alone accounts for more than 400 of them, a fact the French are, understandably, very calm about. Fact 4. The word cheese comes from the Latin word caseus, which also gives us the word casein, the protein that makes cheese possible. The same root word traveled through Old English as cc, and eventually became the word we use today. Fact 5. Ancient Egyptian tombs have been found containing cheese. In 2018, archaeologists discovered what is believed to be the world's oldest solid cheese inside a tomb, dating back roughly 3,200 years. It was not tasted. Fact 6. Cheese was used as currency in medieval Europe. Wheels of Parmesan, in particular, were accepted as payment for goods and services in parts of Italy, a tradition that has, technically, never been officially discontinued. Fact 7. Parmigiano Reggiano, the cheese most people call Parmesan, must by law be produced only in specific regions of Italy, using milk from cows that graze in designated areas. A wheel takes on average 12 months to mature. Some age for 36. Fact 8. The holes in Swiss cheese are called eyes. For a long time, their origin was debated by scientists. In 2015, a Swiss research institute confirmed the holes are caused by tiny particles of hay dust that fall into the milk during the milking process, a discovery that surprised even the Swiss. Fact 9. Cheddar cheese does not have to come from cheddar. Unlike Parmesan or Champagne, the name cheddar has no protected geographical status in most countries, meaning it can be produced anywhere in the world. The village of Cheddar in Somerset, England, does still make it, inside the same caves where it has been aged for centuries. Fact 10. Moon cheese is real. NASA has researched and tested cheese as a potential food source for long-duration space missions. Astronauts have consumed cheese in space on multiple occasions. The moon itself, despite folklore, contains none. Fact 11. Roquefort cheese is aged inside natural limestone caves in the south of France. The caves maintain a constant temperature and humidity year-round, creating conditions that cannot be replicated anywhere else. This is why Roquefort has been legally protected since 1925, one of the earliest food protection laws in modern history. Fact 12. The average person in France consumes around 26 kilograms of cheese per year. In the United States, the figure is closer to 17 kilograms. In the United Kingdom, approximately 12. The world eats a great deal of cheese. Fact 13. Cheese wax is edible. The colored coating on the outside of many hard cheeses, red, black, yellow, is made from food-grade paraffin and is technically safe to consume, though most people choose not to. Fact 14. Baby Bell cheese, the small round cheese wrapped in red wax, was created in France in 1952. The wax wrapper was designed to extend shelf life without refrigeration, a practical solution that became one of the most recognizable food designs in the world. Fact 15. There is a cheese called époisse that was once banned from French public transport. Its smell, considered extraordinary even by cheese standards, led to an informal prohibition on carrying it on buses and trains. It remains legal to eat. Fact 16. Cottage cheese has been consumed in some form since at least the Middle Ages. The name comes from the fact that it was traditionally made in cottages using the leftover milk after butter had been churned, a quiet domestic food with a very long history. Fact 17. The oldest known cheese recipe was written in ancient Sumeria, carved into clay tablets around 4,000 years ago. The recipe describes a fresh, soft cheese. Fact 18. Mozzarella was originally made from the milk of water buffaloes, not cows. Authentic buffalo mozzarella, mozzarella di bufala, is still produced this way in parts of southern Italy, and is considered by many to be superior to its cow's milk equivalent. Fact 19. String cheese behaves the way it does because of how it is heated and stretched during production. This process aligns the proteins in the cheese into long parallel fibers, which is why it peels rather than breaks. Fact 20. In the United States, government cheese is a real thing. During the 1980s, The federal government accumulated such large surpluses of dairy products that it began distributing processed cheese directly to low-income households. At its peak, the stockpile exceeded 2 billion pounds. Fact 21. Gruyere cheese, despite its name, comes from the district of Gruyères in Switzerland. It has no holes, a distinction that separates it from the common image of Swiss cheese, and takes between 5 and 12 months to reach maturity. Fact 22. Cheese contains a compound called tryptophan, the same amino acid found in turkey that is often credited with post-meal drowsiness. Whether cheese actually makes you sleepy is debated by scientists. You may be forming your own opinion right now. Fact 23. The first cheese factory in the world opened in Switzerland in 1815. Before factories, all cheese was made by hand, on farms and in homes, a process that remained largely unchanged for thousands of years before industrialization arrived. Fact 24. Stilton cheese, one of England's most famous exports, can only legally be made in 3 counties: Derbyshire, Leicestershire, and Nottinghamshire. It cannot by law be made in the village of Stilton, the place it was named after, because that village falls in Cambridgeshire. Fact 25. There is a cheese festival held annually in Gloucestershire, England, where participants chase a wheel of double Gloucester cheese down a very steep hill. The cheese can reach speeds of up to 70 miles per hour. The festival has no safety record worth mentioning. And that is 25 quiet facts about cheese. The caves are still aging their wheels. The cows are still in the fields. And somewhere, a wheel of Parmesan is sitting in a vault, slowly becoming something remarkable. That's 75 facts, 3 quiet corners of history, and hopefully, if you made it this far, a little more sleep than you had when you pressed play. If any of this helped you drift off, there's a small shop where the same strange, sleepy energy lives on a shirt. Links down below. No pressure either way. Sleep well. We'll be here next time, whispering about something else entirely.